Hi guys, welcome to Dead by Tomorrow Interviews. My name is Daniel Winter and my co-host is Andrew Monroe. As we explore different topics that are worth thinking about today, we want to bring in guests to share their own unique perspective. We hope you enjoy hearing from our guests as much as we enjoy talking to them.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Dead by Tomorrow. We have yet another special guest. We're really getting the guests in this year. So 2021 COVID, this is how we're keeping up with all of our friends. So we have Dr. Shawn Kinser with us. He is a veterinarian here in Amarillo and kind of a newer friend of mine, at least post-college. So I'm excited to get into this with Shawn. So Shawn, thank you for coming on. We're really excited to have you on. You want to give us a little bit about what you do, how you became a vet, where you live, all that kind of stuff, and where you have lived, and anything you're feeling, man.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, guys. Well, yeah, I've been a vet since 2015, graduated from Oklahoma State University. I was born in the DFW area, but moved to Oklahoma when I was young, and went to Oklahoma State for undergrad and vet school. And that's where I met my wife, Rachel. She was also an OSU vet school grad. Graduated in 2013. After I finished school, we both moved back to Amarillo. That's where I met Andrew through a series of Rachel's friends. And it's been history ever since.
No, that's awesome, Shawn. So DFW, then Oklahoma, then Amarillo. That's almost, if we don't count Oklahoma, that's almost like the reverse of kind of what I did. So I'm curious, somebody who I guess has grown up and spent a lot of time in Oklahoma. Can you give me just a little bit of a rundown on that state? Because I feel like Texas people generally don't like Oklahoma that much, think it's kind of like trashy. And so is that true?
I think to some degree that might be a little bit true. I was thinking about this the past couple of days, why there's so much animosity between the two states. And I really think it comes down to football with the OU and Texas rivalry. That's the only thing I could think of that, well, I guess one of the few things that people really passionately care about. And probably 100 years you've had the Red River rivalry, and sometimes Texas is good, sometimes Oklahoma is good. And I think that really gets down to the heart of it. I went to Oklahoma State, so I despise OU with every fiber of my being. So I actually do cheer for Texas when they play OU. So I kind of fall into, I claim that I have dual citizenship of Texas and Oklahoma because I was born in Texas, but there's still definitely a soft spot in my heart for Oklahoma.
So is that soft spot just because of going to school there, or are there redeeming qualities to Oklahoma? Like what's going on with that state?
I feel like there is. I spent so many summers when I was a kid there, and I have lots of family in this tiny little town that we would visit. And it was 700 people, and I was related to half of them. But Oklahoma as a whole, besides Tulsa and Oklahoma City and maybe Lawton, it's just rural besides that. And Stillwater's a fun college town. Norman, where Oklahoma is, it's kind of like a suburb of Oklahoma City, so you're still very urban, I guess. But besides that, the rest of the state is super rural. Eastern Oklahoma, which is where I spend a lot of time, there's a small mountain range there, the Wichita Mountains. There's beautiful trees and rivers and stuff you can do there. It's very green and nothing like Amarillo.
I was hoping you would touch on that a little bit, because that's been my experience with Oklahoma is, like there's a part of it that's basically Amarillo, which is not, I can say it because I'm from there, not great. And then Oklahoma, everybody, at least from Texas, definitely thinks of the football rivalry. I feel like the other thing people think about is tornadoes, right? Like being Tornado Alley. But there's also a lot of really pretty stuff in Oklahoma. There's some great fishing and hiking and things like that. And I just feel like a lot of times that gets overlooked whenever we think about that state.
Well, let me jump in real quick on the Oklahoma thing, because it has almost been exactly a year since Tiger King came out. And we can't discount that we have a vet here from Oklahoma, and we're at the year anniversary of whatever Oklahoma did there. So I just, want to throw that out there too, that brought a lot of joy to a lot of people. And maybe that tells us a little bit about Shawn's backstory.
Believe it or not, I never saw Tiger King. I didn't jump on that train for some reason. I have been to one of those roadside tiger safari zoos, I guess you'd say. And it's pretty cool. However, I did see this new show called Trafficked. It was a documentary series, I think, on Nat Geo. And they went into the tiger trade and how pretty shady that business is. And that kind of opened my eyes to what really goes on in that industry, which is kind of scary and kind of shady. But yeah, I missed out on the Tiger King thing. I saw the memes though, and it looked pretty hilarious. It does. I was not surprised that was in Oklahoma. That looks very Oklahoma from what I could see.
Yeah, no kidding. So you're a vet now. Have you ever treated a tiger?
I have not. I saw one in school when I was on a different rotation. It was there I wasn't even sure why it was there. It was kind of across the hospital that I saw it. What I do is just dogs and small cats, no big cats or exotics.
Fair enough. So with being a vet, what are some of the, like, I feel like in any profession, you've got crazy story, crazy situation sort of stuff. And so as a vet, like, what have been some of the more interesting, crazy cases you've seen?
Oh, we see the whole spectrum of emergencies and trauma. Porcupine encounters are always fun because you come in with a dog's head looking like a pincushion. You see people walk in the front door with no shoes on, just looking for help because their dog is sick. I mean, you see limbs almost removed from being hit by cars. These giant tumors that people said popped up overnight, but we know really that didn't happen. And then we've got to clean up the mess. Yeah, it's something new every single day. And that's one of the cool parts about the job is you come in the front door and within about 30 seconds, you could be hit with something you've never seen before.
That actually sounds kind of depressing, but I mean, it's really cool work. But to me, like, I like animals, and that sounds hard for me to be able to kind of deal with, like, oh, here's a dog that's dying that just got hit by a car. Here's this mutilated cat, or all the different animals you guys see, or, oh, I've got to put your horse down, for that kind of stuff. So let me jump into your career side of it. With you becoming a vet, was this hey, I love animals and I should become a vet? Is that a good enough reason, or did you have to kind of reach deeper and have a different reason for becoming a vet? And with that said, is it a good idea for someone who loves animals to pursue that kind of career path?
Yeah, this is a question we get all the time, especially from like undergrad students who come shadow with us. We tell them when they're writing applications and essays and all that, don't say you want to come become a veterinarian because you love animals. It's very cliche, and you do have to love animals to do this career. But the reason I got into it is I really love medicine in the broad sense. I really wanted to go to medical school for a long time. Plastic surgery was kind of what I had my mind on. And then once I got a little bit older into high school and kind of got exposed to what medicine looks like, and honestly, people kind of grossed me out. About the same time, I started working for the local vet in my town who's a mixed animal practitioner. His son and daughter are both veterinarians, and his son is married to a veterinarian. And they were just the nicest, coolest people. And I got to work out there for a few summers in high school and just fell in love with the profession. It kind of scratched that itch of doing medicine and doing stuff outside. You don't have as much bureaucracy when you're dealing, as far as human medicine and dealing with hospitals and insurance and all that stuff. It's definitely a career that provides a lot of freedom, but if you're a person who really likes medicine and problem solving, that's really what drew me to it. And I've discovered a lot of different things that I love about it. A lot of people go into it thinking, oh, I don't like people, I'll just deal with animals all day long. But something I quickly learned is that behind almost every animal, there's an owner that you need to deal with and problem solve with and convince to do certain treatments. So you really have to figure out how to communicate with people well. Yeah, that's really what drew me into vet med.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I think that's a great point to bring up is, yeah, you're treating animals, but you are still 100% working with the owners. And it does take that same kind of communication method, that almost like bedside manner aspect. And so I think that's a great aspect. And you mentioned earlier that plastic surgery was something you were kind of thinking you were interested in. Is there such a thing as a plastic surgeon for animals?
You can do post-grad training to be a board-certified surgeon, which they'll do the gambit of surgeries for veterinary medicine. There's a lot of surgeries that we do that you could consider plastic surgery, like bulldogs removing some extra skin around their face to help them breathe better or see better. A lot of the mass removals you can consider plastic surgery will remove eyelid tumors. That's really kind of the stuff that a plastic surgeon would do. So I still kind of get to do some of that stuff that I liked initially from a long time ago. And that's the cool thing about being a veterinarian is if you want to do it as a general practitioner, you don't have to be boarded in something. If you're fine with the challenge of trying to learn this surgery and going through the training to do it, you can do it as much as you would like.
Gotcha. And so it sounds like with veterinarians, there is, a lot more kind of that freedom on what you're practicing and those types of things. And so I know there are benefits to that for sure, but then maybe a disadvantage would be as a pet owner, like how do I know that my vet is going to be, a really great vet, and, if my dog needs a surgery, they're going to be somebody that has done that a lot of times and like it's going to be a success. Like how do I find some of that sort of stuff out as a pet owner?
Yeah, it can be difficult. Whenever I see something that is outside of my wheelhouse or experience level, I am more than happy to refer them to somebody who's a boarded surgeon. And I do that almost every day, probably. There are some practitioners I've run into who try and do things outside of their expertise and wheelhouse, and it can have some bad outcomes. But stuff that's more complicated, like some orthopedic surgeries, bone fractures, ligament repairs, those sorts of things, if you have access to a higher level of care, like at a referral center, I always try and push that option and give people the option of gold standard. Something we run into a lot is here in Amarillo, we have 0 boarded veterinarians in anything: dermatology, surgery, oncology, internal medicine, nothing like that. So there's some pros and cons to that. That allows us to do some things that, if people can't travel or don't want to travel, don't want to take on the added cost of going to a boarded veterinarian, and they just want to give us a shot to do something, sometimes we're like, okay, we can give this a shot and do our best and see how it turns out. That's not for everybody, but some people want to do that because they don't want to travel to Dallas or Oklahoma City or Albuquerque for a more specialized facility. We do see a lot of cases that allow us to do some things that a small animal general practitioner in Dallas, they've got a surgeon down the road every few blocks, and they can send one of their clients there, but they might never get to do those more difficult or challenging surgeries that I would, for example.
That is it's a contrast to how medicine works on humans, I guess. So it's kind of cool that you guys get to sharpen your skills in an environment that you might not get to in traditional medicine, because taking those kind of risks with a human would be probably more frowned upon than with somebody's pet, which some people obviously love their pets. Okay, most people obviously love their pets. I don't really know anyone who has a pet that they're taking to the vet that they're not like, hey, I really need you to help this animal that I absolutely hate. But the risks are mitigated without that, human level sentience. So it's kind of cool that you get all these different experiences. Now, I'm going to change topics on you real quick. This is a kind of stressful career because even if somebody maybe loves their pet a little bit less than they love their husband, losing a pet or something going poorly obviously will still take a mental toll on you. So I know you just got into CrossFit. Is that part of the work-life balance, trying to deload from that? Has it had any effects on your work-life balance, or do you just like working out? And tell me a little bit about CrossFit. What's been going on there?
Excellent segue there, Andrew. This is something that I was hoping would kind of come up in the course of our conversation. So mental health in the veterinary field is something that's really been a priority in the whole industry for the past probably 10 years. You may not know this, but veterinarians have one of the highest rates of suicide among professionals. I think we've been top 3 for a long, long time. Dentists are way up there too. And there's a lot of theories as to why that is. I think it's usually dealing with life or death situations with beings that can't really understand what's going on. That's tough to carry that load. You run into a lot of situations where people don't have the finances to treat their animal the way that you would love to, or they don't want to. They don't want to go through the hassle of caring for animals the way that they should. I know that can take a toll on a lot of people. Most veterinarians have a really poor work-life balance. They're usually type A people who are perfectionists, and a lot of veterinary medicine is doing less than perfect, not less than perfect work, but less than what you would ideally like to do. I think another big factor in it is a lot of veterinarians come out with a exorbitant amount of student loans, but they come into a career field that does not pay the same as, say, a medical doctor or a dentist or an orthodontist, a chiropractor, most of us come out with at least six figures in student loans. And the last time I looked, the average income was about 70 to 80,000 nationwide. So that can be a heavy toll on a lot of veterinarians. Yeah, Andrew mentioned I got into CrossFit recently. I did drink the Kool-Aid and doing this for about 6 weeks. And it was really, I needed to kind of throw some gasoline on that fire and try something different because I was kind of getting stagnant as far as training goes. I have to thank Andrew originally for getting me into really being passionate about fitness. Hammer Sunday was a big catalyst for that. And that was a lot of good times spent swinging hammers at tractor tires. So thank you very much for that, Andrew.
Absolutely.
Yeah, CrossFit's been a lot of fun. It's the barbell, high intensity stuff has just been a lot of fun. And I'm kind of addicted to it now. So yeah, looking forward to keep training and getting better at that.
It's kind of funny. We had Austin on recently. We've got Shawn on. Daniel is, co-host here. All of my friends are a lot bigger than I am. So I think what I'm actually trying to do is I'm trying to get all of you guys to look like these giant meat shields. And, secretly one day maybe I'll get to become like a supervillain or something. I'll have this army of jacked 6 foot plus dudes running around, and you guys will all owe me your life because you got six packs or something. So, so that's the goal there. But you've been hitting the CrossFit, you've been doing the fitness on and off. Does that help with all of that stress that you've been having? Or is it just kind of a part of being a human? You've got your work life, and then separately you're like, hey, I also need to be physical.
Yeah, it really does help me decompress. I've been going to the 5 a.m. class, which was hell at first, but I found that if the hardest part of my day is over and done with by 6 a.m., the rest of the day can't be that bad. If I'm on the verge of puking by the time it's 5:30 in the morning, nothing else can really shake me the rest of the day.
Yeah, that's good theoretically. I don't think I'll ever be able to follow through with something like that. I definitely admire the people that are willing to get up in the morning and do their workouts. It just makes me angry, unfortunately. Andrew, I feel like you found out the same about yourself, right?
Yeah, man. I will try, and I'm probably about to start trying again because Colton, who we're going to have on, I think this summer, which is a ways out, but he got a gym membership down here and he wants to work out in the morning. So I'm going to give it another try, but we're, 10 years on this road, probably more than that. And I have yet to be able to stay consistent on mornings. They steal my soul if I'm going to take a Goggins quote out of here. You're supposed to be out there stealing other people's souls, but just waking up, I'm like, well, there goes my soul. The morning got it. I have nothing to steal from anybody else because I've already lost. So yeah, I am not a morning person. I don't know how Shawn does it. He was doing it forever too. Like, this is not his first rodeo with the mornings. I remember when we were both at the town club, he was hitting these like freaking 5 a.m. classes, and I'll set my alarm at 5, and death or dishonor. I choose death. I choose the death over getting out of bed at 5 in the morning. I will die first.
Yeah, so kudos to you, Shawn. Okay, with CrossFit, I'm curious, what are some of your current goals? Because I've never done CrossFit, so I don't know if it's like, yeah, I'm trying to hit this certain 1 rep max, or I'm trying to, be able to do a certain number of reps at weight. So like, what are some of the goals that you have right now?
Right now, it's just survival and trying to get there. I have zero athletic background whatsoever. I've done a little bit of like powerlifting just in my own time, some mild high intensity stuff on my own. Yeah, right now I'm just trying to get to a level of cardio where I can do the prescribed weights and times. I have been introduced to Olympic lifting through this CrossFit class, which is very satisfying and a lot of fun. I love the technical details of your form and the mechanics of doing the lifts right. I'm really rather frustrated with the snatch lift right now. I'm snatching like probably 90 pounds, which is horrible, but that's one that I tend to be drawn towards things that I'm really bad at, and just having the attitude, I'm going to get better at this. So that's one that kind of in the back of my mind, I'd like to get better at snatching. But yeah, really, I'm nowhere near fit right now. But I have seen small improvements in the 6 weeks I've been doing this.
So if you're drawn towards things that you're bad at, is that where you're just trying to get to a point where you're kind of good at things across the board, and like once you've achieved a certain goal, then you're going towards something else that you're bad at? I guess I'm just curious because I'm a little bit of the opposite in that I hate doing things that I'm bad at. It drives me crazy. And so I tend to more just stick with a thing that I'm good at, and I don't try as many new things. So do you feel like that means that you try a lot of new things because of that?
I think so, yeah. I'm always looking for a new challenge, and right now it's CrossFit. I don't think my personality is bent towards being the best or being a true master of something. Right now, CrossFit I'm terrible at, so that's kind of what one of my goals are, is getting better at that. I don't think I'll be competing, but really I just want to be competent. Right now I'm nowhere near that. It may be a year, maybe 5 years before I become competent at the different workouts and lifts. But if at some point I get comfortable with where I'm at in CrossFit, maybe it's Spartan races or marathons or something after that.
Yeah, come do a Spartan race with us. I mean, assuming those happen again.
You leave me out of that. I don't know if we'll see if I fall for one of those again.
Come on, Andrew.
You're right. I have to, and we'll have to put me down if my knee blows again. Somebody runs by and there's this big Shawn. What are you, like 6'4"?
6'4", yeah.
Got this big 6'4" guy, and then there's Daniel, and there's me on the ground. They're choking me out, and they're like, "Don't worry about it. He asked for this." So it's funny that you mentioned the snatches, because I absolutely loathe them. They are the worst thing that has been created in the fitness industry. And I just texted Daniel a couple days ago because I just started Hybrid Performance's little program they've got. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give this a shot. And I opened up the first week. Very first exercise of the first day, snatches. And I was like, oh, son of a gun. Texted Daniel, I was like, I just started a new program and there's snatches, pray for me. And there's been snatches every day, every dang day in this program. I'm 7 days in, had to do a snatch every time I've worked out. So I'm with you. Those are super hard. Ugh. Anyways, enough ranting on the snatches. You wanted to go medical. And again, abrupt changes. I like them. So you wanted to go medical. You kind of plugged in with a person that you looked at as a inspiring figure. So you looked at this person that you're like, hey, this is a person that I aspire to be, and they're a vet. Therefore, I'd like to go veterinary. So it wasn't animals are great, I want to go help animals. It was more, I want to do medical, and this is a avenue that I want to do medical. So with that said, do you think that is traditional for a lot of people that become veterinarians? Or was that a special case for you? Like your wife was, the other way. Rachel's like, yo, I love cats or dogs. Rachel's definitely a dog person. I know her. And she wanted to go help animals, and you're an exception there? Or what are people who are looking for that? What are they usually going for? And then also, because I like to ask a lot of questions at once and really confuse people, do you think there's an age limit? Could somebody, 25 want to change careers and go become a vet, even though apparently you guys don't get paid as well as probably the rest of us think you do?
Yeah, I think from my experience, I'm kind of outside the norm as far as people who want to become veterinarians. Most people, from the time they're 5 years old to graduating high school, they're like, I want to be a veterinarian. I didn't really make that decision until junior or senior year of high school. Most people lock in on that train and they're in on veterinary medicine from the time they're little kids. As far as, jumping into the veterinary field later in life, we had a couple of people that were in my class. One was 45. He was a mechanic for 20 years, I think, and then just decided he wanted to become a veterinarian, and he was one of the top people in our class. I mean, if you have the, work ethic, to some degree, the intelligence to get into veterinary school, it's definitely something you could jump into later on in life. It's tough taking on that amount of student loans, which probably 80% of people have to do. But yeah, it's something that I saw happen plenty of times during my 4 years at vet school. Older people changing careers and getting into the field and be very successful at it.
Okay, Shawn, we're in the middle of March Madness, which I think is one of the most fun sports times of the year. And partially because I love basketball, but also I just think it's exciting. And so I know you went to Oklahoma State. You're a big fan of sports over there. I want to hear a little bit about Cade Cunningham, because I haven't watched him all year. He's supposed to be like the number 1 draft pick. So tell me about Cade. Tell me why you think the Cowboys are going to win it all.
Daniel, I agree with you 100%. March Madness is probably my second favorite, postseason sporting event behind bowl games for college football. I have to be honest, I don't watch a lot of college basketball. I've never been a big basketball guy, but when March Madness rolls around, I'm filling out a bracket, and me and my wife we're talking a lot of trash right now, because we've got our own, in our household has a league, and I think she's beating me right now, which is pretty much what happens every single year.
You don't have to admit that out loud.
There you go, world. My wife picks games better than I do, 100%. She beats me in bowl games every year, too. I don't know why. Yeah, I didn't hear about Cade Cunningham until this past season, probably about the halfway through the basketball season. I don't know a lot about evaluating college players. It always blows my mind they can say, oh, this guy is going number 1 overall in NBA draft. I've been watching him in the tournament, and I guess I don't know what I'm looking at as far as evaluating basketball players, but they keep saying that he is so clutch and he's a good distributor of the ball, makes everybody around him better. So if he's number 1 pick, good for him. I hope we go deep in the tournament, but I keep low expectations because there's always the classic poke choke is what we call it. It happens at bowl games every year, happens with our football team. So I think I had them going out. I think I had them winning this round and then going out the next round.
I got to ask, like, where does Rachel have them? Because that's probably the more likely scenario, right?
She's even more pessimistic, even about OSU. Any OSU team, she's like, oh, no, they're not making it. I think she had them going out this round. But I'm kind of a homer. I always pick the Dallas Cowboys. I always pick OSU to win. But I try and be a little bit realistic when it comes to a tournament like this.
That's wise. I feel like it's actually pretty rare that the team with the number 1 draft pick or whatever, the projected number 1 draft pick actually wins the tournament. So probably wise.
Yeah, wasn't Zion, wasn't he, did he play for Kansas and they didn't go very deep?
It was Duke. I think they might have made it to like the Sweet 16 or something like that. But yeah, it never quite seems to work out. And Zion was a freak watching him. So that's where I was kind of curious if Cade was one of these people where you see him and you're just like, oh, that's a freak in nature type of player.
I've never thought that about them. He looks pretty run-of-the-mill, but it sounds like he's a pretty good facilitator and ball distributor.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Andrew didn't even actually complete his bracket, so you're doing better than him.
Okay, you know what? Yahoo is very confusing, and there were no instructions.
We're not doing Yahoo. It's Capital One.
Well, now we know what the problem was, don't we? I didn't know what was happening. Y'all said the bracket closes in like 2 hours. I was like, oh, I forgot about that. Open it up. It didn't tell me what to do. I was like, I must be doing this right because, I played fantasy football. For the record, I won fantasy football this year. I was the champion. And I was like, oh, I'm good at this now. And this doesn't look like anything's going on. So, yeah, I missed the bracket, apparently. I screwed the pooch on that one, guys. All right, before we go too deep down this basketball hole, because I can't keep up with these conversations outside of being a scapegoat, before we wrap up, we usually offer the stories and that kind of stuff. Do you have anything that you, like, I got to tell you guys about this? The world needs to know Shawn's story here. Or, because I don't remember you and Daniel actually meeting, even though y'all both said that y'all have met multiple times, and I just don't remember it. Was that really like a terrible experience and I'm blacking out, or do you have anything for us?
I think I've met Daniel, or run into him a couple of times, one at Roasters over in Georgia, and playing volleyball, I forget what park that is, Southwest maybe, a couple of times. Daniel's reputation preceded him as the Frisbee guy and freak athlete. That's kind of my one sentence overview of what I knew about Daniel pretty much.
Hey, I'll take it.
But yeah, that was, as far as stories go, how I met Andrew was friends that my wife knew from high school. And Andrew got together Hammer Sunday, and we got invited to go do that, which is kind of a, I guess, high-intensity intervals with different stations that included monkey bars and sledgehammers, dips. And this is all at the Amarillo High School, I don't know what you call it, area. They had a bunch of equipment out there, which I don't know if anybody asked permission, but we just used it.
Forgiveness, not permission.
But yeah, we did that every Sunday for a few months back before we had kids and didn't have as much obligation as we do now. But we met so many people once we moved back to Amarillo through that. And that was just a really cool time suffering together, which I really think is one of the best ways to build a relationship is suffering together.
So thinking back on Hammer Sunday, I went to a couple of them. And I know that generally there was kind of the normal circuit, but I think Andrew would try to every now and then throw like a fun activity at the end, which I don't know that we ever actually did any of those the time I came. So thanks for that. But what were some of the like more fun things that stood out? I feel like I saw pictures of y'all doing like relays and like Frisbee and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know we played Ultimate Frisbee a couple of times. The one that came to my mind immediately was fireman carrying one of your partner down the practice field there. and throwing your sledgehammer like battle axe style as far as you can. That was pretty awesome.
I remember one of the ones that I think Shawn might be suppressing or too humble to talk about is I think he dominated. We had a battle royale, I guess you could call it, where we essentially had two teams, and I think we were using tires as like the flags. It's like capture the flag battle royale with tires, like these big tires, and there was only one flag, so you could like fight over the tire, and as long as you maintain possession of it, you're okay. And I think Shawn might have killed a couple people.
I think I might have thrown the tire over an arm like a belt of ammunition at one point and just ran down the field in pure chaos and passion.
See, I never got to come do any of these. I'm upset. Maybe, Andrew, you need to plan like a Hammer Sunday reunion or something like that.
That's what you get for living in a place like Dallas. I mean, really, Amarillo is honestly better than Dallas.
What? I mean, I know you live there, so like there's this whole thing of, you got to keep yourself happy and everything like that. But let's not get carried away.
I don't know. We got that canyon. Maybe Shawn's right. It's nice to have somebody on my side for once. Do you have any from vet school or, college or anything that you're like, oh yeah, this is a wild time that definitely should, showed that I was going to become a vet, or probably should have signaled that I should not actually be allowed to be around sharp objects, but you still made it through?
A couple came to mind immediately. One day during fourth year, which is when we do all our clinical rotations, I was watching a surgery on a llama actually with a broken leg. And the resident who was plating this llama's broken leg was drilling one of the holes that would eventually hold the screw and the plate to the llama's leg. Drilling through one side of the bone, you kind of pop through and hit the other side of the bone, and then there's another pop when you go through that side. On the second pop, the resident drops the drill and pulls his hand up to his chest, and he's like, I just drilled through my finger. He went from one side of the bone to the other through his finger, which was shocking but hilarious at the same time. Man, there's a lot of good stories from vet school. We did go preg check a bunch of cows at a prison one time in Oklahoma. A town in eastern Oklahoma called McAllister. There is this state penitentiary there, and they also run a dairy. So the inmates actually run the dairy. And one of the rotations I was on was large animal ambulatory practice. So going out to farms and doing stuff with large animals. We got to preg check a few hundred head of cows in a prison with a bunch of inmates helping us out. That was a weird experience.
Did anybody try to run away, try to escape with you?
Not that I could tell, but they probably had the opportunity if they wanted to.
And also, okay, you're saying, what are you checking?
Oh, preg checking, sorry.
Preg checking. So wait, is that like checking that they're pregnant? Is that, or is it something else?
So probably the easiest and the most efficient way to see if a cow is pregnant is basically sticking your arm up to about mid bicep and feeling for their uterus. And based upon how big the uterus is, or if you can actually feel the calf inside her, you can make a pretty good estimate about how far along they are. And that's just pretty much how it's been done for a long time. If you're experienced at it, you can make a lot of money doing it, actually. A lot of dairy practitioners, that's what they do most of their day, is doing pregnancy checks like that.
That is wild. And so why do you want to check? Because I imagine eventually, like, you can probably look and see that a cow is pregnant. So is there a reason that it's important to know earlier on?
Yeah, so ideally you'd only turn your bull out for a certain amount of time so that you can kind of congregate all your pregnant cows into a certain time window. You just don't want them reproducing all year round, because then it's very inefficient. You have calves born all year round. You kind of want them all clustered together. At a certain point, based upon kind of your timetable and schedule, you want to check to see who's pregnant and who's not. And if a cow comes out pregnant, you might want to cull that cow from your herd. If they're, pretty far along, you might want to, be ready for that cow to be calving pretty soon. The big thing is seeing if that cow is still producing. And if not, maybe she's older, maybe she has some other condition going on. You might want to cull that cow from your herd.
Definitely have no knowledge around it. It is definitely fascinating.
Yeah, that for the longest time, that was my goal, was to go into large animal medicine, doing cattle and horses. During the course of vet school, I learned that a lot of that work is done in the middle of the night when it's 0 degrees outside, and someone calls you and they're like, hey, my cow is having a dystocia or having a problem giving birth to a calf. Can you come pull it or do a C-section in the middle of the night? And as I got further along, I just thought, that is not the lifestyle that I want to live. So I eventually morphed into just doing cats and dogs, which provides a lot better lifestyle. I mean, it's pretty much set hours. You get to go home to your family at night, and you're not freezing your tail off trying to pull a calf in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. All right. One last thing I do want to ask before we wrap up. So, as a vet, are there any just crazy little known animal facts that kind of blew your mind that you think maybe the general person wouldn't know about, a cat or a dog or some other pet? Anything like that?
Man, I'm glad you asked this. So, one of my favorite things, and this is kind of one of my quirks, is I love parasites. Oklahoma State's kind of known for its parasitology department, mainly ticks. We have a tick farm in the basement of our school.
That sounds terrifying.
So, there's a lot of research on ticks and the different pathogens they can carry that goes on at Oklahoma State. But I loved parasitology in that class, and I wish people would understand and know all the parasites they can get from their animals.
I'm scared.
And honestly, it creeps me out that people let their dogs sleep in the same bed with them, because I just know, and I think about all the parasites that are zoonotic, meaning they can transfer between humans and animals, like hookworms, roundworms, fleas, ticks, funguses like ringworm. It's mind-blowing if you really know all the things you can get from your animals.
Note to self, continue to just never let Jake sleep nearby me, or can I get that stuff if he's licking my face? Because I let him do that sometimes. He's a cute dog.
Yeah, there was a story a few years ago about this lady who had all of her limbs amputated because of an infection she got from her dog licking her.
Oh my God.
I'm fairly certain she had some sort of compromised immune system, and she got some sort of bacteria from allegedly the dog licking her or licking a wound or something that led to blood poisoning, and she had to have all her limbs amputated. That's rare, but possible. The big thing is keep your dog on parasite control, like flea and tick prevention and heartworm prevention, especially, you live in Dallas, Daniel, there's a lot of heartworms in that area. Make sure you keep Jake on heartworm prevention and parasite control.
Man, that's all right. Yeah, that's more than I was bargaining for. That's definitely mind-blowing.
Yeah, thank you for the nightmare fuel, tick basements, and and dogs not being my favorite thing anymore. I'm going to go rethink my life. Well, Shawn, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you dropping some wisdom on us and these nightmares that I'm going to be having. We really appreciate you taking time out to come hang out with Daniel and I and share some of your wisdom. If anybody listening is looking at the veterinary career field, Shawn is a great guy. I highly recommend reaching out to him. See what he has to think. He's a busy guy. He's got 2 pretty young kids, but he would probably be more than happy to help walk you through some decisions you might be making. So thank you again for coming on, Shawn. We really appreciate it. And to everybody out there, thank you for listening, and we look forward to connecting with you soon.